started making names right away. And I loved it. I was robbing drug dealers, and taking their gold right off their neck. And the shit we did, who's going to call the police on you? A drug dealer?
I could identify with anything that was normal, to be honest with you. But I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Yeah.
99% of the time, you're going to disagree.
Just like the Donnie Brasco situation with Lefty.
Yeah, because the reason why, they figure it this way. You brought this guy around, he ratted on everybody, now he ratted on you. You might turn around and join him and rat on us, so we get rid of you. There's no connection between there and there, and they get rid of you.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Ignacio Esteban. What's up, man?
Bill, what's going on, man? Nice to be back like always. Happy New Year to you and yours and all your viewers out there. Let's hope for a good, healthy, happy 2023. A lot of health.
Yeah, man, it's been a great start to the year with a lot of good things going on, and I'm just blessed to be in the position I'm in, man. I really am. I'm excited.
I have no complaints, man. Like I said, I retired a year and a half ago from ATF. I've been writing, I've been working, I've been spending time with the family. I've had a chance to meet a lot of great people on these great shows, which I've enjoyed a lot, like yourselves. And we're doing a lot of cool things, and a lot of cool projects are in the works. I think, like myself and everybody else, 2023 should be another good year.
Yeah, man. Let me ask you this. Has the ATF been at all upset with you about putting information out there?
No, I haven't heard anything. I've heard people comment. I still deal with a lot of people that I'm friends with, and it's nothing that's not out there already, right? Open sources, right? And it's my personal experience, so nothing classified, anything like that. It's all been talked about and everything out. So on the contrary, a lot of support for the work that I have done so far. So I'm kind of happy with that.
Yeah. You're a hard worker, man. You remind me of me. Like you're so determined, just get things done, and you're always grinding. Every time I talk to you, you have a new book out every single time.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to do that again. I did over 50 some books in 1 year, which is tough to do because I'm getting involved in more shows and I get more things going on with the family and more things going on with my personal life and other projects. But I'm still going to hit them out as much as I can. And I think this new one, Biker Wars, is a pretty cool one for sure.
Yeah, so the Biker Wars book that you have, where does it start its documentation? Is it in Chicago or where in the country?
I decided to do there it is right there. I just published it yesterday. And then you can see the cover there. You have Outlaws and you have the Mongols. And all these groups, and I think I mentioned before in other shows, I mean, said who are all the different bikers and one percenters, and you've got the Hells Angels, the Outlaws, the Mongols, you have the Bandidos, the Vagos, the Pagans, right? Those are the big ones, and then you have other ones around, and there's some more. Yeah, there's the Bandidos, and that's in Australia. And I talk about one thing with Italian Mafia, right? It started in Italy, right, and came to the United States. This is a unique Americana criminal enterprise, right? This started here in the good old USA after World War II, where you had a lot of veterans who wanted something else to keep themselves busy, right? They were veterans. They fought the Nazis. They fought the Japanese, right? And they wanted to do something else in life to give them some more excitement. And at first it started with guys having a good time on the weekends, and then it later evolved to what it is today with the 1%er, because 99% of bikers are good people, right? It's that 1% element. And that's why they wear that patch right there. And they say, we're not law abiding and we like being the way we are and we like going at war. And this is part of the battles that I decided to say, I want to pick some different battles and talk about them from the history, like going back 40 years, right? And just pick a few. And I'll throw a few out here. Maybe a lot of people remember what happened in Twin Peaks in Waco, Texas in 2015 between the Bandidos and the Cossacks, right? That was absolutely brutal. If you haven't seen that one, go check online. Go type in Twin Peaks. It's similar to like a Hooters restaurant, right? And they were having a meeting there, and it was enormous, the turnout. And it'll be one of the worst biker shootouts in U.S. history. So if you haven't seen that one, it ended up being 9 killed, over 18 wounded. There were over, I think at the end, over 200 arrested at it. Even though a lot of the charges would be dropped on some of them, the police had involved. They end up responding to the scene. And those who don't know, Bandidos have the Lower Rocker of Texas. So they're the largest biker group in Texas. And in their minds, this is their state, right? This is their state. The Cossacks also have a Lower Rocker that says
Well, they originated in Washington. Washington State is where the Bandidos originated from, but they migrated to Texas.
But right now, Texas is a Bandito state in their mind, what you're looking at. And they are like, let's just say a lower tier. They're not as big. They're not considered one of the big six, right? They're not considered the big six. So a lot of times the Bandidos don't like that they wear the Lower Rocker that says Texas, because normally when you wear the Lower Rocker that says that state, that's your territory. And these guys don't see it that way. And a lot of times they want to tax these guys, or they want to bring them over under their Bandito. That way they make more money in dues. They make more money in drug trafficking. It just shows a control issue. But the Cossacks don't like that. So these guys were butting heads. And allegedly there was an issue in the parking lot between a couple of guys, and all hell breaks loose. You can see the videos out there where guys are stabbing each other. Shots are being fired. But there was intelligence before that said, hey, this could be some issues here. So law enforcement had a heads up that there could be a problem here out of Texas. So the local police department, Waco Police Department, and the state were set up in case they had to respond. So they were nearby. So once shit hit the roof, hit the fan, so to speak, they were there. They responded quickly, and they took active shooter protocol to respond to these guys. And they were getting shot at, and they responded, and they shot them also. So it ended up being 9 being killed. That's a lot. So if you guys haven't seen that shootout, that's pretty intense between the Bandidos and the Cossacks out there in Twin Peaks. One of the worst ones out there. So that's pretty interesting there. And I mentioned a lot of them. You show a picture of Australia.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy that they go from riding motorcycles, being family men, to all of a sudden they're in this gang shootout in some Hooters bar when they were just with their family the weekend before. So
they get cut up in the culture, in the movement. I mean, you saw the same thing. I don't know if you remember in 2002 in Laughlin, Nevada, between the Mongols and the Hells Angels, right? They were supposed to be there for a peace conference, right? Yep. And all of a sudden in Harrah's Casino in Laughlin, the thing blows up. If you haven't seen that video, you can see that. And that is pretty intense, seeing the Mongols and Hells Angels just going at each other and throwing chairs and everything else. Supposedly, allegedly, it was out there that a police officer told one of the Hells Angels, hey, there's some Mongols surrounding your brother out there. You might want to see what's going on. I don't know if that's true or not, because I also read intelligence reports that these guys were ready to go at it. Because they both, again, wear the Lower Rocker that says California, right? The Hells Angels says they've been there longer with Sonny Barger out of Oakland. This is their state. And the Mongols, don't see it that way. That time with Doc Cavazos, you know how he was. He was pushing to have all these Sureño street gangs. I think I've taken on your other, and they wanted to take over the state. So it was a mere bad. So I don't see it. That was a reason why, even though it was supposed to be a peace conference, they were supposed to be there. It just breaks bad. And if you haven't seen those videos, folks, go check that video out. Go see Laughlin, Nevada, biker brawl. Unbelievable, with the chairs, the chains, people stabbing each other. The police on there were from a small municipality.
Shooting.
Right?
You're just shooting right in the...
I feel horrible. How about the poor people?
They were shooting right in the casino.
You're hiding for your life. You're there to have a good time, and you're cowering for your life because, look, you see in the video, people are just panicking and out there. And I still think, and I'm going to go active shooter, you got to do something. I get it. Just like we talked about before, what happened in Uvalde, Texas, where you feel like you're being outgunned, right? The police wait outside, right?
Yeah.
They didn't go inside. At least thing you can do is you got to go in there and you got to at least get some of the people out and start getting them out of there because they're in harm's way. And then you have to engage the guys who are shooting each other. You may be only 2 or 3 of you, but that's more. These people are not armed. So it's the same lessons. I've been watching the patterns with mass shootings and everything else. Even when you do have sometimes law enforcement, which active shooter training is, you got to go out and do something. Sitting behind the wall and saying we're outgunned, that's not cutting it because people in there have nothing, and these are bad people shooting each other, hurting each other, and hurt people. Perfect example. You were showing pictures of Australia, right? Well, from your previous picture, I put some examples. There's some, and they call them their bikies. They don't call them bikers. They call them bikies out there. See Australia right there, outlaws and all that, banditos.
Yeah, the bikie wars. Yeah,
the bikie wars, right?
Yeah,
that's what they call it down under. And this was one out of Sydney back in the mid '80s between the banditos, and you show that one, and the Comancheros. The Comancheros are really badasses out there down under. They're in.
I read about that one, and a bunch of people got killed.
Right? Oh, you read about it? That's in my book.
Yeah.
I talked about that one.
I read that one.
In
yes, yes, I did.
And you know, this is talking about innocent people being killed.
Wait. Hold up. That was your book?
Which one?
The one about Australia and the bikers. They were going to an event,
right.
and
in mid '80s
something happened, and other bikers got involved.
Yeah.
Yes, I read that book, man.
I mentioned in my book. It's open sources, but those are one of the big. So what I did in my book is I want to talk about some of the big biker wars, right, and events, how these guys get out of control. So I mentioned that in my book too. I wrote a lot about some of these, the worst biker fights I can remember, or I researched, and that's what I put in there together. So people who really are not familiar with it, hey, that sounds pretty interesting. In Australia, people don't realize it gets nasty down under. I mean, some of these guys, not just among themselves, but with the public and with law enforcement. So, sometimes they'll put car bomb in the remote areas. And I remember with one chief, and the car blew up and ripped him in half. And he was the chief of police of a small town. That's what these guys do over there. So these guys, so you read about it, and I'll tell your audience about it. The Comancheros against the Bandidos. They don't like each other. They're fighting for Sydney, right? There's bad blood. They start shooting. And I found this story to be interesting. And there's families and kids there because it's on Father's Day. It was a bike festival, and a lot of families were there. And these guys opening fire, knowing that there's kids there. And I think a 14-year-old girl was shot in the face and killed in that shootout, which was heartbreaking there. And their witnesses were saying there was one guy who was shot a few times, and there was a lull in the action. He's taking a break. He's bleeding profusely from his head, and he goes, picks up his beer, and he's finished drinking his beer, then reloads,